Good afternoon. Welcome from Central Iowa. Todd Clausen, Territory Agronomist with DeKalb and Asgrow. Coming to you from Story County, Iowa, in the territory of Brad Walkup. And we'd like to just take a few moments and discuss Goss's bacterial wilt, as it has a higher infestation in 2011 than we had at least originally anticipated coming into the season. So let's think about Goss's bacterial wilt and where it's come from and how it's made its way here. It originated in Nebraska and the Front Range of Colorado. And it is a bacteria, and it breaks down microbially in the soil. The bacteria breaks down microbially, as does the host, which is the residue from your corn leaves, is where this disease will live and lie. Okay, so how it infects? It likes to have and needs to have epidermal breaks, so some sort of rip in the tissue for the bacteria to enter. And so why you often see Goss's bacterial wilt on leaf tips, particularly on leaf margins, where wind and hail, rainfall events can open up the tissue and open up the epidermis, so the bacteria can then enter the plant. We often find Goss's bacterial wilt behind hail events early in the season. We often find it behind wind events that have laid plants down closer to the soil surface, where the bacteria can then infect easier the plant. Then also wind events that will tatter leaves, but also lots of rainfall events that will splash this bacteria inoculum up onto the leaf tissue and hence then infect the plant. So as we back up to 2010 fall, we had a relatively early crop, early harvest. We took corn off in a rapid pace, and we began tillage and turning this residue into the soil. The earlier I can turn residue into the soil, the better off I am to break down that residue, which in turn loses the host for the bacterium, and also that microbial breakdown will break down and degrade the disease itself. Okay, so when do I want to be out here? I want to be out here as warm a soil temperatures as I can, hence as we were last year. Now, as we moved into this spring, we were cool early, but our June was very, very conducive to this type of disease. We had a number of wind events, several storm events, hail events, but also we had a number of rainfall events in this part of the world. The Ames, Iowa Station, had the third wettest June on record, with I think approximately 17 different rainfall events. So it is an issue, and it has been the environment that has given us rise to this disease. As with any disease, we have the host, the inoculum is here, the bacteria is here, and so the third side of that triangle that is always the dictator of disease onset is the environment, and the environment was outstanding. So as you see, this disease will take long linear tissue away. Kind of interesting on this particular leaf is I have northern corn leaf blight lesions, and then also over here you'll see is the Goss's bacterial lesion. And I know so because you see the small speckles, which is what's known as pycnidia. It's the fruiting body, and that's what sporulates this disease. So this particular leaf has two different diseases on it, which isn't atypical. Everything goes natural maturity or senescence is Goss's bacterial wilt. I take a plant like this, which is totally senesced, completely dead, completely gone. And as I look at it, I've got more than one disease on it. I've got at least two. One is Goss's bacterial wilt, but I also have gray leaf spot lesions. As I look at a number of these leaves, and then I also see a really typical gray leaf spot, hence the gray color. But then we also know that we have Goss's bacterial wilt because of the pycnidia, because of the speckles. If I look at a plant like this, it's completely gone. Still throwing a pretty nice ear. So we still have the opportunity and the ability to get to yield with this disease. Now, this actually is a plant that came out of a fairly susceptible hybrid that we have. So how are we going to manage Goss's bacterial wilt? Number one is rotation. Go to soybeans. It will not survive in soybean crop. Number two, tillage. Okay, so we want to, as I mentioned briefly earlier, turn this residue into the soil and get the breakdown of this bacteria and of the residue as rapidly as possible. Today, it's the 28th of September. Our soil temperatures today in this part of the world, on average, are about 60 or 61 degrees, although today is about 75 degrees air temperature. We will get more microbial breakdown and degradation of the bacteria and of the residue the warmer my soil temperatures are. I can run tillage all the way till what point in time? Frost in the soil. Well, that means I can be out here at 40 degree soil temperature, but so 40 degree soil temperature is not going to be conducive for rapid breakdown of the disease or of the residue. So, number 1, rotation. Number 2, tillage. Number 3, genetics. And so, genetics is probably the most important piece here. As we look at the inoculum level in this part of the world, we are going to be very specific and very, very adamant about the genetics that we place back out on farms that have higher risk of this disease. And we have a number of great products, all the way from 98-day all the way through 114-day out of a decal bag. So what's Monsanto doing with Goss's bacterial wilt? Our station in Gothenburg, Nebraska is one of the largest private bacteria stations and research for Goss's bacterial wilt on the planet. And we are screening our inbreds and our hybrids with this disease. And not only does that part of the world have a high natural inoculum level, we're also inoculating it directly with the disease. Okay, so we'll have a tractor with a 25-gallon tank on the back that's carrying the disease, the inoculum, in solution. Behind it, covering 4 rows, will be a machine that will break open plants at V5 and V6 level. So now I have direct opening of the tissue on the plant, and I'm actually inoculating all these plants with the disease. From that point, then we look, evaluate, and rate the expression of the disease following the inoculum. So we are researching, not only is it a research breeding station, but we're also backfilling and researching and evaluating all of our hybrids and inbreds for Goss's bacterial wilt.